Okay, let's try that again. So, day 33 of my whole 30 that turned into my real 30, and I'm going to share my results because I know you want to know, right? I've been talking about it, I've been sharing a lot about it, and it's definitely been a journey. Okay, so day 33, here I am. It's kind of a weird feeling to have completed the first 30 days and now to be in that transition mode where I'm starting to add things back in. So why did I decide to do the whole 30 to begin with? For me, it really wasn't about weight loss. I've always had a really sensitive system, and I knew like I was bloated a lot and I worked really hard and I, for the most part, eat pretty clean, but I just would be bloated and I didn't feel great. And so I wanted to figure out if there was some kind of food issue, if I had some kind of sensitivity to food, essentially. And I liked that about the whole 30, that you removed all the possible allergens and irritants, and then you let your body kind of reset and you would add things back in and see how you felt. So for me, that's why I did it. I kind of broke the rules from the get-go, and I've been really open and clear about why I decided to continue to drink Shakeology, and the purists were always like, you can't do it, you can't do it, you're failing, you're not really doing it. It's blasphemy. But for me, I love Shakeology, and I've been drinking it for a couple of years. I've had a couple weeks where I haven't had it, and I know I feel really crummy. So for me, it was never like I'm using Shakeology as a sugar substitute. You know, I want a chocolate milkshake to bring all the boys to the yard, so I would have chocolate Shakeology. That's not how I use it. I drink it in the morning because it helps my digestion and know it gives me better energy. I know that it helps with my cravings and all those things. So I went ahead and continued. I did my whole 30 with Shakeology, which is why I renamed it the Real 30, because I didn't want to like step on people's toes and insult people who were diehards, because I understand that when you really love a program and someone comes in and they're talking about it but they're not doing it right, I get that. Like, as a rule follower, it can be really annoying. So that's why I've been calling it the Real 30. So here I am on day 33. You complete the first 30 days with no dairy, no alcohol. What else? No sugar, no natural sugar, including honey, no beans, no grains. What am I missing? No fun. It was initially really, really hard, and my biggest takeaway from all of this was how emotionally tied into food I am. And I knew that going into it. Like, I figured that out along the way. I'm a tired eater. I'm an emotional eater. I think as Americans, it's part of our culture. You know, we celebrate with food. We soothe with food. If your kid has a hard day, like, let's have a cupcake. Like, I get that. And I know it's not healthy. And so that was another reason to do the whole 30/Real 30 to kind of break up with those habits. So it was a really emotional process for me. And I'm still seeing how I tied into food I am. Like, I don't like that. Let's talk about our actual results. Okay, so I took my before and afters. I will share them. I don't feel like there was a huge change, but I have been working on this journey for a while now, and so obviously the more weight and stuff you have to lose, the bigger results you're going to get, right? It's going to be more immediate because you have more to lose. It's going to be, yeah. So I lost a total of 4 pounds, and I lost a total of 6 inches, most notably across my belly, which is always my problem area. It's the first thing to gain, and it always seems like it's the last thing to go. So I lost 4 pounds, 6 inches. They have in the Whole 30 book, which I really recommend. I love how it gives you a day-by-day breakdown of, you know, like day 1 to 3, this is how you're going to feel. Day 4 to whatever, this is how you're going to feel. And for me, it was pretty accurate for the most part. Yeah, but in here they have a bunch of non-scale victories, and I counted those up. I had 52 non-scale victories. Things like my skin was more glowy. I had better energy. I am sleeping better. I would like to speak more to the sleeping better, but my 5-year-old is night waking again. So I feel like I'm sleeping better. I definitely have more energy in the morning. I've had like the stamina to get up at 4:30, 5:30 in the morning to do my miracle morning and start my day off right, and it hasn't been a deal breaker. Like, I'm not wanting to go to bed at 7. I'm also not reaching for that afternoon coffee like I normally would. So there's been a lot of non-scale victories, which for me, as a Beachbody coach, that's what I'm all about anyway. I preach a lot about how it's not about the scale, and it's not about the size of your clothes. It's about living your best life and feeling really good in your own skin and rocking your life, because I'm raising little women, and I don't want those little women to have... Society already puts so much expectation and all this stuff on us, and I want to be able to preach to them wholeheartedly that it's not about that. I want them to be strong and fierce and not worry about what their body looks like. They're going to have enough of that. They don't need they don't need that from me as well. So, so that's really always my goal going into anything. So I'm on day 33. I will continue for until day 60, and then I'll probably go back to the 21-day fix just because using the portion containers really helps me, and it helps me fuel my body. Things I have not liked about this journey is how I feel like I think about food all the time, and not in a good way, not in a, ooh, I really want to have this. I feel like it's kind of made me obsess about food in ways I haven't in a really long time, and I don't like that. I have less cravings, which is good. And I'm not reaching for some things like I once would have, but I think about it all the time. I'm always thinking about it. And that was the first thing that I really was uncomfortable with, because especially like the first week or so, you're like, can I eat this? You're looking at labels all the time. And I just felt like it was, if you have an obsessive nature, if you're kind of OCD, I think it could really be a slippery slope, especially if you've had a weird relationship with food in the past. Another thing is the scale. Like, I broke up with my scale a long time ago. It's actually been a couple of years, and right before I started this blog, I had this like panicky text Facebook message exchange with all my neighbors because I don't have a scale, and I was like, oh crap, I need to weigh myself again to see what happened because I don't have a scale. I had a scale once upon a time. I would get it out in the morning first thing, and I would weigh myself after I peed, before I drank anything, and whatever that scale said would dictate whether or not I felt like I was having success in my life, whether or not I was going to have a good day. The scale totally affected my life, and I hated that. The scale most often would create a bad day for me, and that's just really unhealthy. So that's why I'm a huge advocate to get rid of your scale. If you have a scale, if this sounds familiar to you, and you're obsessing about the number on the scale, get rid of it, because you're not a number. Like, you're so much more than that. And so I think day one, I had to ask my neighbor. I was like, hey, I'm doing this Whole30 thing. Can I please use your scale? And I used the scale, and she was like, she looked at the number and she's like, oh my gosh, that's what you weigh? And inside I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I weigh? I don't like that. I don't like that yucky feeling, because I don't like that feeling. I don't like that feeling. And so if you're letting a number on a stupid freaking scale dictate your life and whether or not you're having success and whether or not you're good enough, get rid of your scale. So I did not like that kind of brought that back into light. And the book says, you know, you're to weigh on day 1, you're to weigh on day 30 and not again. But again, for me, I was thinking about it. I was always like, I wonder what the scale says. I wonder what the scale says. And then today, when I was trying to like get in touch with a neighbor to borrow their scale, because I am not going to buy a scale. I even went to Walmart. I went to Walmart to see if I could weigh myself on a scale, and they're all in boxes. All the scales are in boxes. So luckily my neighbor Danielle was home and she let me use her scale. But it's like I get on the scale and it's a sinking feeling that I'm not good enough, that I haven't had good enough results, and that, you know, I need to lose more or whatever. And that's just stupid. That's stupid. But does that resonate with you? Like, do you get that? Because if you do, I hope you join my anti-scale revolution. So there's been definite perks to the Whole30, Real30, and there's definite downfalls for me. The cookbook, if you're going to do it, is worth its weight in gold. I loved it. There was a ton of good recipes in there. My family loved them as well, which was a total win. So for me, I had kind of like I didn't eat a lot of variety. Like, I would make sure we cooked a lot of chicken, and I would kind of eat that. I found some lunch meat that was compliant. I made my own sausage, which sounds really fancy. It's not. I just got ground pork, and there's a recipe in there, like how the seasonings that you mix in to make it taste like ground pork. So the recipes in that cookbook were fantastic and awesome, and we will continue to use it. I had to return the book to the library, but I'm going to invest in it because they were really, really good. Family favorites. There was only one recipe in there. It was like a Tex-Mex egg muffin thing that I did not care for. My family liked it. I didn't like it. I feel like if you're going to have eggs, you need to have cheese or bacon or avocado. And for me, they just were like, I'd rather have a hard-boiled egg. So here I am on day 33, and I do feel a little bit paralyzed. I thought for sure I'd be like introducing cheese or wine or whiskey right back in, and I haven't yet. Which is kind of crazy. We've had birthdays this last week. It was a really stressful week, so you would think that I would be like, give me the wine. My mother-in-law is here. Whenever she's here, we drink a lot, like Relushes or anything. But it's just kind of how it's been a pattern. But I'm not really missing anything. And the other side of the not missing anything is I'm honestly a little bit scared to bring something back in like cheese and have a reaction and then know that's a food that I shouldn't have. So ignorance is kind of bliss. That's where I'm hanging out right now. I'm just really, there's nothing that, I don't know. There's nothing there's nothing that's really speaking to me. The other side of all of this is that I feel like food has lost some of its joy for me, and maybe that's not a bad thing, being kind of an emotional eater, but it's just like I'm eating to fuel my body. So yeah. But I did notice I kind of had a freak out halfway through. I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm really not seeing things. Now in retrospect, I have had less bloating. That's definitely something, that was one of the things walking into this that I wanted to rectify, because it's like I work really hard. I, for the most part, eat really clean. I drink a ton of water. Why am I bloated every night? Why do I look like I'm pregnant? My tummy is always my problem area, my area of opportunity. And so that was one of the things that I was out to figure out. So I am noticing that my tummy, for the most part, is almost as flat at bedtime as it was in the morning, which is huge for me. I am, like I said, my sleep seems to be better. I'm waking up with more energy and stuff. My biggest, most noticeable thing was all the female stuff. So I have ovarian cysts every single month. It's super painful. I can tell when I'm ovulating. It feels like my ovary is going to just shoot right out of my side. It's awful. It's super painful. And I'm usually having to pop stuff, and I'm using essential oils, and it's just pretty miserable. But this month, I didn't notice any ovulation at all. I'm sure I dropped an egg, but I didn't feel it. So that's a win. Also, my PMS, it was not serial killer, Sarah, like I can be. And I didn't have a lot of food cravings, which was huge, because usually I'm like, give me some chocolate. I want the food. But I didn't notice that. And my period was early, which another girl who was doing this with us, she noticed the same thing. It was early. So those are big wins, because as women, that's like something that's, you know, a pretty consistent piece of our lives. So that's a good thing for sure. What else? I have noticed I have had more headaches than I used to, and I did break out more this month. So I don't know if that was part of the detox. I'm not really sure. These are just my takeaways I want to share with you guys, because if you're on the fence, I definitely think that it can benefit everyone, whether or not you decide to stick with it long term or switch it into paleo or whatever. It's a good tool to kind of figure out why you're eating if you're not sure why. For me, I know I'm a tired eater. I'm an emotional eater. And I have noticed that my moods, I feel more even, which I don't necessarily like. Not that I want to be like up and down and raging like I'm manic or anything, but I just feel a little more flat. This has just been a really emotional experience, I think, for me, like figuring out like food it's an emotional thing, you know? So that in a nutshell, my friends, was so far, my whole 30 Real 30 journey, and I'm going to keep doing it. I still don't know what I want to reintroduce. I don't know what I want bad enough. So I guess I'm just going to kind of hang back and see what happens. I have lived off of nuts and avocados. I probably should roll those back. And maybe if I did, I would have lost a little bit more weight. I don't know. Almond butter was one of those things I hated going into it. I quickly was like, I like this almond butter. Pretty soon I was like eating it off the spoon. And so I had to break up with it. So about week 3, I stopped getting almond butter because I just couldn't control myself around it. Larabars, I was really good about holding off on Larabars until probably this last week. Honestly, it's been a stressful week. And the whole premise behind this is that you're breaking up with those negative food associations and food patterns. Like, they don't even want you to switch your snacking to healthier snacks. It's more like you just eliminate the habit altogether. And that doesn't jive with me. Like, life is meant to be lived. You should still have snacks and enjoy food. That's kind of my story. And so this week, I guess I made a better choice than having like a Snickers bar or whatever. I had the Larabars. The banana bread one is really yummy. I just had that the other day. So that and plantain chips. I really like plantain chips. Again, it was one of those things I went into thinking, this is disgusting. It tastes like wood chips. Why do people eat this? But now I think it will be a staple in my diet, and I will replace corn chips with it. It was pretty good. So those are my takeaways. Again, I have no regrets that I drank Shakeology on it. I feel like I still had really great results. And for me, I'm not using Shakeology as a crutch. It's not something that I'm using to fill a sugar void. It was just something that makes me feel better and good. And as Sarah Nelson, health and fitness, that's what I'm all about, right? Like living your best life, rocking it, figuring out what works for you, because everyone's different. It's not going to be the same. My experience isn't going to be the same as yours, but if you try it, I want to hear what your results are. I want to see, like, did you lose weight? Did you gain weight? Did you have some ahas about your emotional eating, or are you sleeping better? Like, I would love to hear about your successes. Some of you on here that are watching me, I know you're just getting started and it's super overwhelming. So I'm giving you permission to feel overwhelmed, because I felt super overwhelmed and freaked out. It gets better. It gets better, and you start to get a handle on things, and it's not quite as overwhelming. If you're making your own mayonnaise, don't even bother with their recipe using the light olive oil. It was disgusting. It tasted like melted plastic. Another girlfriend told me to use avocado oil. Made a huge difference. So I'll continue to make my own mayo. I know it is really overwhelming, but you got this. You can do it. It's just a month, and you're gonna figure out a few staples. There's also Adele's. I think it's Adele. There's like a chicken and apple sausage. Again, really good, and it's approved. It doesn't have anything creepy in it. I made my own sausage just using like ground pork and some seasonings. So it's in that cookbook. There's like a sausage kale soup recipe that was delicious, pretty similar to something I already make. And then I clarified my own butter, which I know that seems super intimidating. It's really not hard. You just melt your butter in a pan and you skim off all the dairy that rises, and then I just put it in a container and it lives in my fridge. And so we're not potato people, but once I did this and eliminated grains, we've had a lot more potatoes. I've been just getting like I like the little fingerling potatoes. I steam them, and then while they're steaming, I throw some of my clarified butter and a whole bunch of the minced garlic in a pan, and I kind of lightly cook my garlic, and then I throw the potatoes in there and I mix them all together. Oh, it's so good. So some things like this I'll continue to do. It's just, I guess, you figure that's how things are, right? You take one thing from here and one thing from there, and you kind of like figure out what works for your family and you, and it's all about just living your best life and feeling good in your own skin. Yeah. So down 4 pounds, down 6 inches. I went into this saying it wasn't about weight loss, but I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I kind of wanted to lose a little bit of weight. True, right? We're women. True story. So, I'm not disappointed with that goal, because I didn't have too much room to go anyway. I am feeling leaner. I feel like I can see my abs a little bit. So probably if I'd amped up my exercise, I would have had better traction there, but I still have another month. So I'm going to keep doing it, and I will share at the end of that. So my friends, that's what I have for you. I hope it helps. Thanks. I feel good. I feel good for the most part. It's a very emotional experience. It's really weird, but if I can do it, you can do it. Another thing is cashew milk. I really like cashew milk in my coffee, and that's something that I will continue to do. I really kind of do want to go back to Starbucks and get my toffee nut and my half and half, but is it worth it? Probably not. Kind of like the cheesecake in my fridge. Is it worth it? Probably not. As a girl that has issues with balance and moderation, I kind of like, I'd rather just not have it than like have a sample, and then before you know it, I'm rolling around naked in the whole cheesecake and it's all gone. It's very unsanitary. It's not pretty. So my friends, I hope that helps. Let me know if it does. Let me know how it's going for you. And as I think of other things, I will share them. All right. Make today fantastic and amazing, because you are the driver of your bus. And if anybody gets in your way, we'll just run them over. Not really, but you get to drive your bus. So make it count.